Checar aquí. Ahí. Okay.
And B, microphone.
Echo.
Subject C, call to the public. And we do have one call. Douglas J. Cook. I'm gonna go ahead and read a little short paragraph real quick. Members of the public wishing to address the board on matters within the jurisdiction of the board are required to complete the appropriate request to speak form and submit the completed form to the board secretary prior to the meeting. At the conclusion of the call to the public, individual members of the board may only respond to criticism, ask staff to review a matter, or ask the matter to be placed on future agenda. However, board members shall not discuss or take legal actions on matter raised during an open call to the public unless the matters are properly noticed for the discussion and legal actions. Public comments should be limited to 3 minutes or less, and the board requests that the public refrain from the use of speech or language that is offensive or inappropriate pursuant to policy 1-302. The president will limit discussion whenever he deems such action appropriate to the proper conduct of the meeting. Cook, floor is yours.
Thank you so much. About a week ago, we received notice that the budget override for 7 years was approved and is going to be on the ballot in November. Well, of course, we have questions in mind. Of course, I remember you bringing it up a few months ago. And so I'm kind of wondering, 7 years, why it had to be 7 years? Why not 1, 2, or 3? And then the other one, of course, the impact on our taxes are going to increase our taxes a bunch. But then you can't address that, but what you can do is maybe describe for us what this budget override is going to do for the school system, what you're going to be able to provide that you wouldn't otherwise.
Mr. Cook, appreciate it. Okay. Number 3, executive session, tolling agreement.
Number 2.
Number 2. Just had some right now. Yes. Subject A, American Healthiest School Awards.
I think we'd like to bring them to they have the notice said 4 schools, but I believe all 5 qualified for being called this case. Or that would be good. We know that the list initially didn't have all 5, and also we had the highest rated healthiest school. So I'll remember Mr. Fanning.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, district administration. Once again, I'd like to say thank you for allowing me to come up. Whenever we get a chance to recognize some great things that are happening in the district, it's one of my favorite times in education. So I'm going to read a little bit about our awards, and then we'll have the schools come up and I will present each one of the schools with a plaque. So the Alliance for a Healthier Generation is a leading children's health organization that is equitable whole child health, driven by their passion to ensure that every mind, every body, and every young person is healthy and ready to succeed. All 5 of our district schools were named one of America's healthiest schools for the 2024 school year. This annual recognition honors schools for implementing best practices to support the health of our students, staff, and families. Schools throughout the United States are recognized in up to 9 categories. Those 9 categories: strengthening social, emotional health and learning. Number 2, cultivating staff well-being. Number 3, increasing family and community engagement. Number 4, improving nutrition and food access. Number 5, implementing local school wellness policies. Number 6, bolstering physical education and activity. 7, enriching health education. 8, promoting tobacco-free schools. And 9, supporting school health services. Chief Executive Officer at Healthier Schools was recently quoted as saying, "When met with challenges, America's healthiest schools consistently respond with creativity and resilience." We thank and honor these educators and administrators for their dedication to building equitable school environments where students and staff can thrive. At this time, I'm going to go one by one with each of the schools. And like I said, we'll be presenting them with a plaque for their incredible efforts and for being awarded with America's Healthiest Schools recognition. We're going to start out with Mountain View Elementary. We met 2 out of the 9 criteria. So Dominic, if you'd like to come on up. And this reads, "Congratulations, Mountain View Elementary School. Awarded by Alliance for a Healthier Generation, proud to be one of America's Healthiest Schools 2024 awardee." And this is signed by the superintendent, the assistant superintendent. So congratulations. Next, if I could have Mimi from San Cayetano, who also met 2 out of the 9 criteria. Next, we have Rio Rico High School. If I could have John come on up, met 4 out of the 9 criteria. I'm sure they might have questions for you in just a little bit here, principals. Next, we have Calabasas, who met 6 out of the 9 criteria. And one of our schools, the only school in the state of Arizona, was recently awarded with the All-Star Distinction. Where's the All-Star Distinction, you might ask? The All-Star Distinction is when a school is for a school that meets the criteria for all 9 topic areas. Those are the schools that receive All-Star Awarding Distinction. And did I mention that it's the only school in the state of Arizona?
Yeah.
So if I could have Guatemala, that would be Dago?
I'll go.
So I'd like to once again say thank you to all of our administrators, all of our teachers, all of our students, our staff, the board. This award is based on all of your hard work as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ms. Bobby, you got anything?
Congratulations, all you guys. I mean, that's truly, when I first scanned through this, I thought it was a state award. And then I had to look at it again and saw that it was national. So truly well done.
I'm receiving some havoc in the back because I did not welcome up Roxy. Roxy was a big part of this, one of our former staff members here in our district.
University of Arizona Cooperative Extension, and we are with the SNAP-It program, and we promote physical activity and nutrition in the county. And I just want to say I'm so proud of this district. You are the only local district who has the ability to apply for the award, not just to receive it. And so it's been awesome working with your schools and seeing how this award that is all encompassing, that focuses on the whole student, the whole community, because it does have to do with community engagement as well. And having us support you guys and providing resources and providing the time for you guys to be able to get these awards is just very heartwarming, and it fulfills us as much as it does you. And so I know we started off with 3 schools winning, and then our goal with the SHAC committee was for 5 schools to win, and we met that goal. So I'm hoping that next year our goal will be all 5 schools will be all-star schools. So I'm hoping to work with your new SHAC coordinator, Audra, and maybe go ahead and get that going and started and get you guys up there as all-stars.
Thank you. Vasquez.
Same thing. Congratulations. Not that it's anything new. I think we have a great staff, great leaders, great students and parents in our community. Congratulations. This is just one more thing to be proud of. Congratulations. Thank you.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes, congratulations to each and every one of you. Doggo, all 9, that's getting the parents involved, that's getting everyone else involved.
Everything.
And I mean, that's a lot of work. And if your staff, whoever did that, they gotta be congratulated as well.
Absolutely.
And actually take them out for a pizza dinner just because it's not.
Give him junk.
Exactly. But congratulations.
Ramirez.
Yeah, good job, all of you, and oh, wow, 9 out of 9, and John, 6 out of 9, that's not too shabby, but the fact that our district, you guys represent our district with that kind of pride, we really, we truly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yep. Well, thank you to the University of Arizona for providing the support, and Sodexo for providing healthy and nutritious food to our students. I was at San Cayetano last week and I told Mimi, I go, you got pizza for breakfast? How do we win the healthiest food award? And she corrected me right now. That pizza is made of wheat. The cheese is this, the sausage is all organic. So I was like, oh, okay. The kids gotta take a little time to get used to the taste because they're so used to these processed foods, but yeah, thank you, Mimi, for enlightening me. Yeah. Congratulations to all the schools. Keep on working. We need all schools getting 9 out of 9. So good job to everyone. Number 3, executive session, subject A, tolling agreement. Executive session pursuant to ARS 38-41.03 A3 and 4. Notice is hereby given to the general public that the governing board of the Santa Cruz Valley Unified School District number 35 may vote to hold an executive session for discussion or consultation for legal advice with its attorneys and or for discussion or consultation with its attorneys to consider its position, instruct its attorney regarding tolling agreements, Auditor General and Miss Elizabeth Guthbar. The governing board's attorneys may participate in person, virtually, or by telephone. Motion to convene to executive session in conference room 125.
So moved.
Second.
Then a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. We're in exec session. Meeting back to order. Motion to reconvene to regular session.
So moved.
Second.
The motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Both say nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Number 4, tolling agreement, Auditor General. Motion to approve the tolling agreement between Santa Cruz Valley Unified School District number 35 and Auditor General.
So moved. Yeah, second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Huh? No, that was done in exec
No.
session. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay, all those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Subject B, tolling agreement, Miss Elizabeth Guthbar. Motion to approve the tolling agreement between Santa Cruz Valley Unified School District number 35 and Miss Elizabeth Guthbar.
So moved.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Subject C, Santa Cruz Valley Unified School District policies.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the, policy tonight, which we do not currently have, is a naming policy. It's been previously discussed. To have, our naming policy for facilities, whether it be, rooms, buildings, etc. Currently in our policy, we do not. And so, because when we had, adopted our policy, we discussed this specifically and create our own. So
There were policies that were.
So we shifted to the new trust policies. We omitted that one and said we will come back. So tonight begins that process. So sharing, and looked up from different districts around the state as well as what the trust had in our previous policies as well, what we use to name facilities. And so these are the examples, and tonight it would just be discussion, look at the policies.
Okay, Ms. Vasquez, you want to start us off?
Wow.
Okay, so I read the I think it's 3 or 4 sample naming policies, and they're almost mimic each other where if you're gonna name a building after someone, they have to have 20 years of service, they have to be nominated by a committee, it comes to the board has a final decision. It's sort of like that on all 4 of them, or all 3. So thoughts and comments, if you want, I could start it off. Just to let you guys, think a little bit about it. I would oppose naming any facility after one individual, me personally, okay? I always think that there's gonna be someone that outperforms you in the future. And when it's up to the board has the final say so on whose name gets put on a facility, okay? For instance, I think it was about a year ago, this boardroom was called, the Daniel Fontes Boardroom, okay? Illegally, but it was named that. Superintendent Verdugo, you're gonna be one of the longest serving, superintendents in the state of Arizona. You took us through the bond, these amazing facilities. We redid the way we grade, redid the way, standard-based learning. You know, your name should be on that also. So I know you're very humble, but you see what I'm saying is that as we move forward, there's always gonna be someone that maybe outperforms. For instance, the athletic field down there. I could get this passed just with the board members I think that we have here. And we could name it the Brewington Luco Athletic Facility. Doug Brewington and Luco, they both served over 30 years. They both coached every sport known to our district and mentored and facilitated thousands of kids. Okay, but what about Mr. Shadler that's won a plethora of state championships? His name should be up there also. Okay, the the Performing Arts Center, I could say Miss Concanon, Celia Concanon. You know, the time she put in, but there might be somebody that's just as good or put in the amount of time. So I would be opposed at naming any facility. I'll use some examples or some possible suggestions is that, let me see, I'll use Rio Rico as an example. Keep it all Hawk Pride. Our community could get behind it. The Hawk Nation walking in that athletic field. The Hawk Performing Arts Center, the Hawk Wrestling Room. Our community could get behind that because they're part of the Hawk Nation. Okay, so that'd be one proposal. The second proposal would be, in order for a program to succeed, it takes multiple individuals, not just one. Okay, having a plaque like this back here, going into the athletics stadium that states, these individuals have been an instrumental part in the success of our athletic program. Doug Brewington, give the years of service, Miss Luco, years of service. And if there's anybody else, Steve Shadler, that had put in their time and effort and developed these young men and women, to be added. So it's not just one individual, it's a community of individuals. If we go back to naming the boardroom, you know, Mr. Fontes, I don't know, I'd have to review what he did for the district. It's been a long time. His name could go on there, you know, the following individuals have been instrumental in developing our Santa Cruz Valley District number 35. Mr. David Verdugo, Mr. Daniel Fontes, and maybe 10 years from now, we have a superintendent that, you know, switches things up and does good for the community, develops our property across the street. You know, his name can go on it. So I would oppose naming a facility just after one individual because we have so many great individuals in our district. Okay?
So to clarify, you're talking about, I'm liking it.
Okay.
A plaque
Yes.
then, and that's where we would
We would
be able
continue
to honor.
honor, yes. Okay, so that would be my 2 cents on, as we move forward, creating a policy. But we'll start off with Ms. Flovia, go ahead.
So of these policies that are listed, I mean, because like, I like number 3, I mean, it says that you can use a person, we can either delete that out of there and just take a person's name out of the possibilities.
And this is discussion only, so,
Yeah.
that'd be a good recommendation.
And just, Mr. Beach, just to clarify, to take these, manipulate them, and send it back to us if they see fit. That's what we've done with other policies, like since the cell phone. Tackle that one, you know, letting you, method yourself, because again, that's the job of us to set that policy.
Ms. Verdugo? Ms. Vasquez?
I like your idea as well. You know, the only problem that I have is that in the past, okay, a lot of the plaques have been misplaced. They get lost in the shuffle, you know, especially like with our athletes and you know, stuff like that. That's one of the things that I really don't like that plaque right there, okay? Somebody comes around and then somebody says, what is this doing here? You know, well, it's been already, you know, 10 years that it's been here. Let's get it out and it gets lost, okay? I'm telling you this because that happened to my son, okay? My son is one of the ones that has had like a lot of, things going on here at the district. He played basketball and he's done a lot of stuff here, okay? He was the one that threw the first pitch when they made that now is, I think, the girls softball field, but it used to be the boys baseball field and stuff, you know, things like that, okay? So supposedly there's a plaque and he's the only one up there, okay? And because of what he accomplished, okay? And ask me where the plaque is. It got lost, okay? It's nowhere to be found, okay? So it's like, I have issues with that only because it hits home, okay? And if I like the idea, I really, really like the idea because I think like you say, okay, there's a lot of people, okay, that do contribute and with their hard work, with their dedication, with their ideas, with their, you know, with everything that they do. And I think that is a really good idea to honor them. I honor them, there must be somebody else, that was here before Mr. Fontes, okay? And then, that did, what they did, in order for us to be where we are, okay? And, again, then it was Mr. Fontes and then, Mr. Verdugo, and then somebody else will come, hopefully not, but after Mr. Verdugo, but I think it's a very good idea.
Okay.
But again, okay, it must be something that will not get lost okay, within the shuffle, so. I have a problem with that. That's it. Thank you.
Kramer?
Yes, very good points. I think, yeah, the first superintendent should be, he gave us $236,000. He passed away in his will. I'm just saying that because he did give us some money. Nevertheless, I don't need this. It's just, for some reason, the mine's loud tonight, but nevertheless.
They all are.
On that said, well, I'll say this, I had a building named after somebody in Nogales. And it's called the Pete Draculich Gymnasium. But it wasn't based so much on Pete's accolades of coaching, his being a teacher. It was more what he did outside in Nogales community. And that's where we, myself as a principal at the time down there, and a few of the board members agreed. It wasn't so much that he had coached baseball and he was runner-up and he was ASU Sun Devil of the Year, 1968, granted things like that. It was the fact that they said, who started the NHS Hall of Fame? Pete did, and Earl Pottinger, and I believe one other person. They're the ones that created the NHS Hall of Fame. So there's one thing. Again, I said the swimming lessons that as growing up in Nogales, he was well known for that. We talked about that at our dinner, how they just threw people, nevertheless, Pete was known for that.
Petrified our kids.
Right. He created the Border Angel Sun Devil scholarship programs for students in Nogales. It was going on very strong. It was about, he always just get upset because U of A would always contribute more. One time on stage, he wrote a check for $1,000. I'm not gonna let him beat me that bad. Here's 1,000 more. That was Pete. See, so those kind of things, those intangibles, not about, and Brad, I heard you saying, about school stuff, is what have they done outside in Rio Rico in the community, like these kind of situations that we would all agree that, yes, they did that. Much like we put, or John, you put Ray Garrett in the Hall of Fame because he was doing those kind of things, the intangible stuff, granted. And also Pete, for what it was worth it, for those of you that want to know some history, they used to be red and blue for the colors of Nogales High School. When he got here, again, he changed them maroon and gold, like ASU. And he thought he was gonna get run out of town, but they kept it. That was Pete. Yeah, just something, not that it should be recognized, but that's what he was doing, those kind of things. So going back on that. Now, what they named the gymnasium after Ray Moletta, that was just like stamp it, let's do it, and there wasn't even, there were people that were not happy with the way that was done. They have also at the Clark, James T. Clark Memorial Auditorium, but that was funded by his efforts around the community to get it going, to get money to help build that. He was the superintendent. Again, it was outside of that intangible. He was retiring, I believe, Lewis, you were working.
I was working it.
I got hit right at that time when he retired, 89. So I agree with you. I think that if it is, we're going to ever get to that point, we should also throw in, what have they done for the community, not just the high school or the school themselves? Have they done this stuff? And I'm not saying that the Pete is the bar, but have they done things like Pete Draculich outside of the whole educational realm to get that? Because the community was agreeing. There were some people that said yes, but Mr. Kincannon was doing things just like him. How come he didn't get something? So then there was talk about naming him maybe Kincannon Field for baseball. But I don't know where that went. It obviously fell to whatever. But that's my point on this is what else have they done outside of the realm of this educational capacity to make Rio Rico a better community? Thank you.
Mr. Ramirez?
Yeah, thank you, sir. So, well, looking at number 3 here, first I want to correct something. It says here, naming facilities, the district will consider names derived from significant geographic locations. And it says, once again, we keep going, we keep revisiting this issue. It says historical events. Historical is anything that happens in history. If I drop that glass that happened, you know, or I moved it, it's done. That's historical. Things that stand out in history are historic. So we keep seeing this, after all, we're representing an educational institution. So these things are important, okay? So that should say historic on there. So, but getting back to what's most important is criteria. There has to be, if you were going to do this, if you guys decide to take that course, there has to be criteria for people to be, or a facility or building or anything in our district to be named after somebody. It can't just be a popularity contest, as what that was the case before. And things have to be done the correct way, the right way, legally. Some people, after the meeting last year, when I ran that meeting, I said, we violated open meeting law and even state law doing this. People were, oh, Mr. Ramirez, you don't like Mr. Fuentes, which is a bunch of baloney. Okay, so it was just, we had to do things the right way. And that brings me back to, we have to have criteria. You can't just, it can't be a popularity contest. That's something that bothers me too with, as you mentioned, with the Hall of Fame. I mean, who decides who merits this kind of stuff? Then it becomes political. Who's running that show? The politics here, probably, possibly. So it brings me back to what Mr. Booth said, which is it becomes very difficult for us to decide. After all, nobody's done more than you have so far. And you know, you can sit there and be Mr. Modest tonight, but the fact is that you have been here longer. And look at all the things that you've done, all the facilities that we have as a consequence of your vision. To imagine all the things that we could do with your name. But I don't like it for a myriad of reasons. Another one being egomania. You know, and if you want people to be recognized, I mean, we're talking about hardware, giving plaques to people. That's nice. It's a great idea. But what happens after a while? Like Ms. Vasquez says, these things get lost. And after, you know, 100 years from now, nobody's even gonna remember anybody here, none of the board members, superintendent, nobody. That's why I pushed hard for the idea of having a history, having a running history on film on our projectors. We have the technology now to show the history from the beginning. Simple things like who threw the pitch, first pitch, you know, the great accomplishments of Mr. Beach. You didn't mention being a state champion coach himself. All the great things that we did in the past that we could just bring up, you know, that's Mr. Kramer's mentioning about Mr. Sadler too, or Mr. Beach mentioned all his accolades. There's so many of them. And if we had constantly running thing showing all the history and the people who stood out and did great things for our kids, that would be awesome. And even our kids have done great things like Ariana Villascusa, who recently became champ. A lot of people don't know about that, but if we had this running thing, it would be better than having the hardware, because I agree wholeheartedly. The hardware doesn't cut it and it's gonna get lost. It will. In the future, people aren't gonna even know who did what. And it's kind of nice, like, if you can promote this in the community and within the schools, and when the kids see these people that really stood out, like Carlos Villarreal winning the Pan Am Games in a race. Wow. You know, I mean, I haven't even talked about some of my kids who did stuff in chess nobody knows about. We had a kid who was phenomenal. He won the North American Open, which is a world tournament in chess. And Zerny Contreras. He won $3,000 and he was first in his section in the world. And nobody knows about these things, and we'll never know unless we have some kind of running history. We gave up on that. I haven't heard very much.
We're working, actually, had a meeting this morning, or Audra and Mr. Manning are working on that. That's a project.
Great. That's where we should go, but I agree with my colleagues here. They all had something really good to say about this. And I'm concerned because again, I like Mr. Beach's idea because then we don't get into all this egomania and still people get recognized. And then we don't get into who decides who merits, you know, the merits of individuals and the politics of it all, and so forth. So thank you, Mr. Beach.
Plus, I think we need guidelines of is again, what you just said, to get lost in the shuffle. Right? Well, like your brick from the Berlin Wall, what happened to that? Disappeared. Because whoever was in charge at that time felt it wasn't, whatever, put it over here and got legs and ran away.
You said Berlin Wall. Yeah.
So, you know, and the same thing and I'm saying this because it happened at your alma mater. Principal down there before I took over, even though it was graffiti, for those of you that graduated from Nogales High School, anybody in here besides you, would know that people in the back would write their names on the stage. Well, a principal came in there and decided that was unnecessary, painted over everything. So that gym was built in 1919. So 1920, the twenties people, all that little history just disappeared. Because some principal went ahead and did that. Not that the board had recognized it, but it goes back to what you're saying and what you're saying. Things like that, we've got to make sure that we keep it somehow. So somebody doesn't just go in and, oh, well, that was 25 years ago. Let's take that down. From your championship team, how many years ago was that, Ben?
I have no idea.
23, and you were 30 at the time.
Yeah.
I gave you some age there.
Mhm.
Again, that's what I'm saying, because it does happen, you know, if we're gonna do this.
Okay.
So my suggestion would be, Mr. Beach, is that we.
Work on it.
Work
on it.
So that we can send you, you have a copies of these, and so if you would like to send us what your recommendations are, just continue that conversation. Policy.
Sounds like.
Sounds like a
All
plan.
right, and we can make it a policy as to if anybody removes a plaque, 10 years in prison.
There you go. Send them to me.
Yeah. Any other policies for future agenda items, Ms. Fobian?
No, thank
Ms.
you.
Vasquez?
No, none right now.
Mr. Kramer?
Oh, I'm good.
Ramirez?
I have none, thank you.
Move on. Subject D, proposed to prioritize topics and possible dates and times for future board meetings. Mr. Verdugo?
Like to propose, special, at 8 AM. In executive session, discuss. Possibly but it was approve a special meeting for September 30th at 8 AM.
Okay. Is that it? Ms. Fobian?
I have nothing else.
Ms. Vasquez?
Nothing.
Mr. Kramer?
No, we got a big list there. That's
Okay. Mr. Ramirez?
Do we need to make a motion?
Okay, so moved.
Second.
Somebody.
Okay,
Oh,
let me see if I get this right.
Okay.
Motion to hold an executive session at 8 AM on Monday in regards to
Possibly like a notice of claim.
to file a notice of claim,
Yeah, we could possibly.
possible notice of claim.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, anything else? Added, no? Mr. Ramirez, you got anything?
No,
Okay.
well, I mean, no,
For future
I'm good.
topics? Nope.
No.
Okay. 5, presentation, construction update.
Thank you. I think we do have. Will give us, update as we head into our final stretch of our construction. Jennifer.
Good evening, Mr. Verdugo. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, your microphone is really garbled, so I'm assuming you just introduced me to start the presentation. Good evening, members of the governing board. I am here to present to you the construction update for the CTE building. Can the presenter move this back to the first slide of the presentation? Thank you very much. And I guess now you can go to the second slide. This evening, I'm presenting on the final construction project that is working towards completion, which is the CTE field house down next to the football field area. We are working towards a substantial completion of October 7th and a final completion of October 21st. In our owner architect contractor meeting this morning, we did confirm that we are on track for that. They will be calling for final city inspections on October 4th, and we have the punch walk scheduled for October 7th. Next slide, please. As always, we're about a week behind with these photographs, so things may look a little different if you happen to be down there. This is a kind of far away view from the west side of the building. You can see the building there in the distance behind the football field. Next slide. This is a little bit closer up view of the same building. You can see that the paint has been applied. There is a slight error that they need to fix, that the gold color will also be on the right-hand side of the building. So I pointed that out to them, and so we'll be addressing that in the punch list. Next slide. This slide shows some of the riprap that we've added along the new fire lane that leads to the building. This will help with erosion and water control in that area. Next slide. This is another view of the fire lane looking to the west. You can see the riprap that is installed between the fire lane and the football field to prevent any dirt from going onto the field itself. And then on the left-hand side, you can see the fence that then leads into the ROTC area. And we have added some new decomposed granite in that small area between the fence and the fire lane. Next slide. The flooring contractors have been hard at work over the last couple weeks, and I understand that they have wrapped up. So we don't have current photos in this presentation, but the carpet is going in, rubber flooring, epoxy flooring, etc. So this is the large room that allows you to open it up into a very large space or subdivide it into 2 or 4 smaller spaces. This here is the athletic kind of multi-purpose room. It has a flooring that is like a rubber flooring there. So a variety of different activities can happen in that space. Next slide. This is a view of the IDF room with the rack that's gone in there. We've been working with Steve St. Clair and his team to get all those IT technology things integrated into the building. Next slide. This is a slide of one of the locker room areas. This is when the floor was still in its preparation stage. It now has epoxy on it, so it will look different from this, but you can see all the athletic lockers that are in place. And this is a slide of one of the bathroom areas with the sink alcove and some of the holes cut in the wall there for paper towel receptacles, etc. This is along the kind of north east side of the building. You can see the freshly graded earthwork around the back side of the building, some of the hardscape. Next slide. This is turning around, looking the other way back at the field, where there you can see that we have some more, we actually have riprap in that area where it's more likely to have erosion. And then right in front there is where we have some stairs, and they will be installing metal handrails in that area in the next couple weeks. Next slide. And finally, this is another image of the riprap outside the restroom entry. This main sidewalk here is the sidewalk you'll walk on to enter into the restrooms there on the right-hand side. One final slide of one of the restroom areas again, showing the tile, the pattern, and again, the sink alcove. Next slide. And that is an update of the construction of the project. The next 2-3 weeks, everything will be really coming together. And we'll have a completed building for you very soon. Any questions?
Ms. Fovian?
I mean, it looks like it's very on track. We're getting very close to the end, so I'm not gonna bring up weather issues or anything like that. It looks like everything is gonna happen inside.
Mhm.
It's looking really good. I'm looking forward to completion. Thank you.
Right?
Vasquez?
Yeah, same thing. It looks really, really nice. I just have a question with the other slide, the one before this one.
Mm-hmm.
The other one, the next one more. Right there, okay. So the rock area that's right on there, is it not gonna go all the way to the edge, or is that just, that's all there is for that?
That is where it will cover. It's a little hard to tell from this photograph, but that is where the ground is more significantly sloped. Once it reaches the bottom there, it's much more flat. And the primary reason for the riprap there is to control the erosion so that dirt doesn't wash down and we don't get large, I guess, rivets and cracks in the earth where the water will flow.
Okay, so your answer is no then. This is the only thing that's gonna have the rock. That's what, that was my. Okay.
Correct.
All right. Why not? I mean, just kidding. It looks really nice. though. It looks really, really good. And it would look really nice if it had the whole thing, I think, but that way.
Take it or two, you'll see.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Good job. It looks really, really pretty.
Mr. Kramer?
Yeah, Paul. Hi, Jennifer, this is Joel.
Hey,
Hey, the question I had on Lourdes is, because I'm just thinking about that too. Is there a pathway then going to be like a cement pathway of some sort? Cause it's just dirt over there. So during a rainy football, soccer game, our custodians will just love all that mud to be tracked up onto the sidewalks and into the restrooms.
there is a concrete path that connects this new building to the pathway in front of the bleachers. There's a continuous walkway. I don't know that any of the photographs I have in the presentation this evening show that, but nobody will need to walk through dirt or mud to get from the bleachers over to the restroom building. And then the fire lane.
10-year-olds will listen to that. I'm just saying, it's, where there's dirt and mud,
Party time.
well, that we'll have to look at that when we do it.
When it does.
Yes. And my second question, locker rooms, benches? We putting benches in there?
Yes, there will be benches in there. They're actually going to be installed tomorrow.
All right, that was my other question, and the lockers, are we going to maintain those locks ourselves? Are we given locks? Is that the whole situation there? Like we do with the other?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you, Jennifer.
Okay, you're welcome.
Mr. Ramirez?
I have nothing, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jennifer. It looks good and have a good evening.
All right, thank you all.
Okay, moving on, subject B, Pima Community College dual enrollment. Mr. Verdugo, Mr. Palacio, Mr. Bell, and Ms. Mondrial.
I apologize.
Just wanted to say that the Brad Beach Blast Devil Wrestling Room has something to it.
Yes, it does.
I've had a working relationship with Pima College and dual enrollment for like over a decade now, and many of those years with Mr. Palacios. I think all of them with Mr. Palacios. So we just have a relatively short presentation to talk about dual enrollment benefits. I know that the board fully supports dual enrollment, but I just wanted to talk about dual enrollment benefits for our kids, money savings for our kids, and some new programs that we're trying to implement that we want to get going. So I'm going to give it over to James to introduce his team and proceed with our presentation. Good evening, Board President, members of the board, Superintendent Verdugo, community members, colleagues, teachers. Thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. We are always excited about dual enrollment. Dual enrollment has been something that I've been part of since being a high school principal, assistant principal during my years of high school administration. What we want to be able to express here is the value of dual enrollment, but really looking at where the college is going in terms of how we're gonna service our high schools in dual enrollment. But before we do that, I'd like to introduce our team, Director Christopher Bell. We have Christy Monreal, who you guys are familiar with, who's been down in Nogales for so many years and working with the school. She's our manager. And we have a new member of the dual enrollment side who just started Monday, and Dr. Emily Halverson Otts. She is the Vice Provost of Academic Access. I know it's it's a new title, but her job is to work with the dual enrollment team to oversee the processes that we're currently working on, but actually improving and refining our processes because of the rapid growth that we're seeing around Pima County. So we're honored for her to be part of our team, but looking forward to seeing how we can utilize her expertise in order to get us to the next level that we've been so hungry to get to. Not only as a college, but for the high schools as well. Next slide, please. So realistically, dual enrollment is for Pima Community College, it's a zero tuition program for the students. I mean, the students do not pay for any tuition as long as they are a dual enrollment student taking the class at the high school. Where we ask the high schools to participate in making sure that the students get the resources that they need is obviously providing the instructor. The instructor has to be a highly qualified instructor through Pima Community College in order to teach that class, in order for it to be a college course. And also providing the resources and textbooks that the students need in order to be successful in that classroom, just like a regular student is, right? But I guess we've all been there. Next slide. Students, the biggest thing about dual enrollment is obviously cutting the expenses, college expenses for high school students choosing the college path. We all have to pay those tuitions at the university. We all at Pima Community College or whatever university we choose to go to, we always have that tuition, right? Well, dual enrollment is a great strategy to jumpstart your journey to college. And that's what we want to try to provide to the schools, or the students actually, and the families. So it's less expensive and you spend less time to obtain your associates, your certificate, or your four-year degree. Next slide, please. So what I wanted to point out is your 5-year growth in dual enrollment. So the data is showing that your community is hungry for this. So just this past year, we had 239 students taking advantage of dual enrollment here in this district. Compared to 5 years ago, you had 50 students. So just looking at your 5-year growth, we're seeing that the families are really appreciating and the students are taking advantage of this program. Now, we do have a lot of work to do, not only just on the Pima side. This is our accreditation year. So last year, if you recall, we came in and did a site visit, we did an evaluation, and we are currently addressing the things that we found that we need to work on, not just specifically to Rio Rico High School, but in general, the entire college or the high schools that we work with at the college. So that's what we're refining, and that's what our new Vice Provost will be helping us with, is making sure that we're looking at the right things, correcting the right things, and making sure that we provide a better product for our schools. The next slide. So what does that mean? So that data, those students that took advantage of those college courses, from the year before, you grew 50%, right? So that translates to over 1,000 credits that those students completed. And if you wanted to translate that to dollars, well, that's over $100,000 of tuition savings that you provided your students if they went to Pima Community College. But over 500,000 if they attended U of A with those credits. Same thing for ASU, NAU, almost $480,000. So the way we look at it, it's a front-loaded scholarship for students if they participate in dual enrollment program. What we have to do now is we have to take a survey of the courses that you're taking. Start looking at, okay, you're in an additional location, which means that you are approved through our accreditation, HLC, Higher Learning Commission accreditation. You are approved as an additional location to offer certificates and degrees. But what does that mean? It doesn't mean just handing them out, right? It's more about like, what does the collaboration look like between Pima and the high school? What does the support structure look like from Pima to the high school, but at the high school? And what is the professional development looks like for those dual enrollment instructors in order for them to participate and be qualified through Pima Community College? So there's a lot of things that we are working on to make sure that we improve that process as our accreditors have found that we have to improve. And we knew that was gonna happen, but what we have to do as partners, collaborate in making sure that we improve those areas, which that takes us to the next level. Now, how can we get those students to get to that point? What is our goal? Do we want them certificate completers? Do we want them associate completers? What does that look like? Those are the conversations we have to have between two institutions and trying to develop that best practice and making sure that we provide the best product possible for the students from the high school standpoint, but equal as important from the Pima Community College standpoint. And that's what our job is trying to identify those areas that we have to improve on and continue to create programs for your students to take advantage of while they're still here at Rio Rico High School. I'm going to hand this off to Christy, and she's going to talk a little bit more about the programming and the classes that you guys have offered here.
Hi, good evening. My name is Christian Monreal. So what we're seeing right here right now are the classes that we currently offer at Rio Rico. We have what is known for Rio Rico as the Lion Public Safety classes. We offer Lion Public Safety 2 and 3, which is for us is the AJS 101 and AJS 109. Also, we're working with culinary. We currently have culinary 1 and culinary 2. As you may notice, culinary 105 and culinary 140, they have to go as co-requisites. So they have to be taken at the same time, but the students are obtaining credits for all 3 classes. Okay, we also working with the GTM 105, which is applied technical math. And the ones that we have right here on the right, it's the math 151, 187, 220, 231, writing 101, writing 102, also known as English 101, English 102. Can we go to the next slide? So the first focus right here is the culinary fundamental certificate. So right now, out of the 6 classes, well, 7 classes that is required for the certificate, Rio Rico is offering 3 of them. So we're currently offering culinary 105, 130, and 140. At the moment, the missing courses for the certificate, it's the 150, 160, and 189, along with the SU 100, which has been implemented this year. Can we go to the next slide? So what do we need to do, right? So as I said before, the classes that we're missing are the 150, 169, and 100. And some of the options that we have, right here where it says instructor options, option number 1 would be that the school district would talk with Ms. Mavis. Ms. Mavis is the current culinary teacher to see if maybe through her we can continue and teach the 150, 160, and 189. Also, other option would be to discuss hiring a new additional teacher that could maybe take the load of those 3 classes and have Ms. Mavis take the other half. Or also one of the options would be to contract the PCC instructor. The way that it would work, the district would be paying for this instructor. The instructor can either be virtual or they can come over to the school as whatever works for the school. Okay, can we move to the next slide? So now, another of the associates that would that it works with Rio Rico, it's the Justice Professions, the Administration of Justice Concentration Associate's degree. So in the past years, AJS, the Lion Public Safety Program, has been very successful. We currently offer the AJS 101 and 1 for the fall and for the spring, along with the writing 101 class. The ones that you guys see in green, It's just a reflection that not only, there's potential for you guys to offer this class here, but it also works for another certificate that I will talk about it right now. But that class could also work with both. That's what, I would see as maybe as a good potential class, because it could work for both. Okay, can we go to the next slide? Continuing with the associates. Also, the Psychology 101 is very familiar to the art class. It could work for a variety of classes, but it doesn't specifically has to be this class. There's when it comes to the AGIC to our pathways, there's different options that you guys can pick from. I'll show them to you in a second. And another class that you guys are currently also teaching, it's for the math. So math, AJS 101 and 109 could be part of this degree. So what we're looking at is that the school can offer at least 50% of this degree. So it means that the student will leave with more than a year of college, hopefully in hopes that they will continue with the same degree. Can we go to the next slide? So part of it, like I said, some of the missing certificate courses that usually will follow what you already guys have, it would be the AJS 123, which is corrections and process, the AJS 115, which that class actually was taught, I believe, last year. No, I believe it was taught last year. So it's something that maybe we want to consider, and also the AJS 124. Very familiar, very similar to what Ms. Mavis is going through. One of the options would be hiring an additional line public safety teacher with credentials to teach through PIMA. Also work with Mr. Nicolaus, our current facilitator for the class, to see how we can help him get his certification done, or also contract the PCC instructor. Okay. So right now, we have some courses pending site visit. This would be with Ms. Cardenas. The AIT courses that we offer, they're going through a site visit. I do want to make it clear that the site visits are happening in every school that is offering any AIT classes. At the moment, they're not scheduled. I know for a fact that Ms. Cardenas in the division has spoken about having a site visit, hopefully within the next weeks. And once that happens, the classes will be scheduled. Okay. Okay. So talking about the AIT, we have potential to also offer the Automated Industrial Technology certificate. At the moment, we're offering AIT 100, 105, and 125. So what we're missing is 110, 115, and 120. Also familiar options that we have, either hire an additional AIT engineering, I believe that's how you know them, the engineering teacher, with credentials to teach college level courses. School districts can also meet with Ms. Cardenas to discuss teaching the AIT 110, 115, and 120, or as well contract the PCC instructor. Okay, can we move over? So now, pathways. Is there a way that we can click over where it says pathways? So this is a draft that we're working on that we will be able to share hopefully soon with parents, with school administrator, with everyone, where the student or the parent can play with this. So it'll give them what is necessary to complete the AGIC. Okay, so it'll tell them they'll need 6 credits for the English composition, which at the moment you guys are offering. So you guys are offering writing 101 and 102. The math portion, you also offering math classes, but then like what the rest would be for the science, fine arts, humanities, social behavioral science, and other options. Can we go back to the presentation? So these are just some examples of classes that you might consider. Most of the high schools, they offer very similar courses in their high schools. So after speaking with Mr. Kino and Mr. Navarro, I know that we do have some potential teachers that are willing to start considering teaching dual enrollment. We have some potential teachers for psychology, sociology, Spanish. I know we do have some business major instructors. So that's something that we're working on see what teachers would qualify for what class. But also on the AGIC.
Yeah, just real quick. So what that means is if we're looking at 2025, 2026, we have to start the conversations now with the divisions. So if you happen to have potential instructors that we're looking at for any of these additional courses, we got to make sure and get them in connection with them, because We gotta establish, like I mentioned before, professional development, we gotta establish training, make sure they get the correct curriculum out there in order to teach the correct material for these particular classes. So and also, if you look at the applied, in college, we call the applied degrees or CTE degrees, all right, or certificates. Those are also direct employment through us as well. So that's another thing about those, that not only are tied to a degree, but they're also tied to certificates as well, which makes them more employable.
Just to add something, we identified 5 teachers and 4 of them that already applied. So they are in the process on getting that certification by PIMA. So as soon as they get certified, we'll meet with Mr. Canoy to see what are the opportunities that the teacher, the courses that they can teach eventually.
So, moving forward, so what we're planning to do is, like as I mentioned, some of these classes not only would work for the students to obtain transferable credits, but also part of like the associate's degree. The same credits can also work for multiple. So let's say the student may be interested in taking the AJS, the Administration of Justice degree. Some of these classes will work for that and will also work just in case. Psychology, you know, it's very popular among all majors. Writing, Spanish. I know we're in a Spanish speaking community, so that would be pretty much an easy credit for students to take. So we do have to take advantage of what we have, what type of community we are. Spanish would be pretty much an easy A for students, and also obtaining a college credit. Okay, can we move on? Also, I did wanted to bring it up, the scholarships opportunity that we have. It's opening on the 1st of October. So this scholarship does give preference to our dual enrollment students. This scholarship, PIMA Excellence, all it's required is a 2.5 GPA. If a student is part of dual enrollment classes, it doesn't necessarily has to be only for dual enrollment, but students who have taken dual enrollment classes will have preference in the selection. And all they need is a high school transcript that they are Arizona residents, and pretty much it's a simple, they apply, they submit their transcripts, and they're in the pool for them to, they pretty much go first come, first serve. So it's a great opportunity. Students can get all their tuition paid pretty much. They get 12 credits if they qualify for the PIMA Excellence, and up to 16 credits, 32 credits per year, but 16 credits per semester if they qualify with the 3.0 or above. Okay. And on the last slide, I also wanted to show you guys our contact information. I don't know if you guys have met Andrew Galpai. She's our high school transition coach. Part of her job is to help our seniors. So she can be here every week in the high school. She usually will call out seniors who are interested in PIMA, have questions, to help them with different documentation, if they have any questions. At one point, when it comes to close to the end of the year and they want to, close gaps of, hey, like, I don't know how to do my testing or how to do this. Those are the services that we offer in the high school to help individually each student, making sure that they're signing up, they're doing everything that they need to. Okay, my part of working with Rio Rico and Santa Cruz County overall is to help the schools with dual enrollment. So if you guys ever have any questions, if you guys want to know more about dual enrollment, please don't hesitate. I'm more than happy to come to you guys, talk over the phone or through a video call, whatever works. Okay, do you guys have any questions?
Scobie, I want to add something.
Jimmy?
Sorry.
On November the 18th, CTE, Rio Rico High School will visit the middle schools to promote our programs, to tell middle school students the programs that we have, CTE programs, but at the same time, I invited PIMA dual enrollment so they can be part of our tour, so we can be telling the middle schools, students, parents, and teachers that this dual enrollment, it's coming to the high school so they can start visioning when they come to the high school. So that's something that it's happening on November the 18th.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, so if by any chance you guys have any more events coming up that it would be beneficial for us to talk to the parents. I love talking to parents. Usually they're the ones who will communicate to their kids, hey, like maybe this is a good opportunity. Usually students get very intimidated when they hear that, hey, I'm taking a college class. I don't know if I'm gonna pass. But once we talk to the parents are always know their way around their kids to, hey, go through, take the class, it's gonna be good for you. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. I mean, we value this program and it's so nice that Mr. Canoip is already familiar with it and is on top of it. And it can only grow. So thank you so much.
Thank you for the presentation, and this is something that's great for our students, okay, because it is financially helped, with the parents and all that stuff. There used to be a program years ago, about 20 years ago, it was called the ACE program. I don't know if you remember the ACE program, where it was a 2+2+2 program. The kids went to Pima for 2 years while they were in high school, and then 2 years to Pima College while they were right out of high school, and then they graduated from the U of A. So it was, I don't know if that's a program that, I think it's similar than this, but
What's unique about dual enrollment is that they're getting the credit while they're in high school.
they're in high school.
The 2+2 would not work, and it's more of like, you finish your 1 or 2,
Yeah.
and then you finish your 2
Afterwards, yeah.
So I guess you can look at it as, and also if you have AP students taking classes and they have qualifying exams, they also translate into.
They transfer, that's that's one of the things. Are these classes also given at night or no? Or it's just during the kids in school?
It's only during the school day unless CTE provides after school.
After-school.
opportunities for the students.
Yeah, because I'm sure that, that there might be teachers that are qualified that might say, well, I can do it at night,
I can add something positive to that.
you know?
I also teach for the Santa Cruz complex for Pima, and I can see all the Rio Rico High School graduates that they're not taking. When you talk to students, you can tell that our students have more than 20 credits compared to other schools. I'm not gonna mention the names. They come without credits, but taking those administration of justice 101,
Yeah.
our students don't have to take it.
Yeah, our kids are ahead of the game.
Engineering, among the other classes that we just mentioned, we're ahead of the game. Our students are taking those credits and even go directly into a university.
Yeah. After they leave here, so when they leave here, they could even get their associate's degree, right? If they really work hard on it and take all of the classes that they need that are required. That's fantastic.
So some of the positive feedback I had, I used to be the transition coach as well, is that students, they kind of take away that I'm afraid of college, or I didn't know I was suited for college. Because the expectation of the teacher in the high school is to have the same level that they would teach at the college. It's still a college class, it's just, yes. So we tell the kids, hey, like, this is how it's gonna be over there. The same content, the same expectation. So if you already passed this class, you're gonna do great in college. Like, don't be afraid of it, just go for it. And they kind of have a different set mind.
And that's part of the work is establishing a college going culture. So if we partner and we collaborate to create what that's gonna look like, that's really the goal, is what we want to try to develop, is help you create that college going culture in the high school. So when those students are college ready, when they get there, they're already gonna be college ready because they are college students. And now we're prepping them and getting ready to get to the next level. So that's a goal.
Yeah, and one of the things that I also like is like bringing it into the middle school, because you've got kids there that are very, very intelligent, okay, and they can even get high school credit, so that when they do get into high school, that dual enrollment will be even more for them, because if they can get a math or a writing or an English or whatever class out of the way, I mean, they're already, way up there, so.
We want to make them aware that what's happening in the high school, because what happens is that right now that we're reaching out to the high schools, they're already sophomore, juniors. So maybe that's something that they could have been taking since their freshman year.
Yeah.
But we want for them to take advantage that when they see their, what's it called, like class,
Yeah, schedule.
their classes, they know that when they see dual enrollment in there, or what is it? Like, should I
They
go
already
into
know.
this? What is this? So they can start checking those boxes.
That's why I'm saying that I think it's a very good benefit. It's very beneficial to our students to be, to be taught this, when in middle school? Because there's a lot of kids in middle school. I mean, sometimes we don't really realize it, but some of those kids already know what they want to do, more or less, and they say, oh, well, I want to do this, I want to do that, And once they have all of the information and they have the classes available, I think that opens up a lot of doors for our kids. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Ms. Kramer?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Beach.
Welcome.
Great presentation. You've got our support, it's like when they say preaching to the choir, all of us former educators, we're supporting you for all those years. And I think it's fantastic. In fact, our culinary arts teacher was inspired by a CTE teacher who we hired back when I went back in the days, a principal in Nogales, Mr. Larry Schmalik. That's where she got her start. We were chatting about that when I visited her classroom then, I don't know when it was last year, but nevertheless, I think it's very important that we continue building on this program. And what my question is, what can we do as a board to get more programs to our students? I mean, this is coming not only from I don't need to hear John so much, but from Pima Community College. What do we need? Because I know John's got to tell us he needs more money and teacher, but with the Pima Community College side, what do we need? Because really, we could be doing a lot more.
Yeah, one of the things that we're working on right now is we keep talking about partners in improvement, partners in collaboration. We want to be a partner with you to try to improve this program, to try to make it where it should be, right? And so with the collaboration, a true collaboration, making sure that we have, we speak it, right? From your level all the way down to the families. But more importantly, how do we participate in that? One of the things that we keep talking, a goal of ours is wanting to be part of the culture in the high school, have more Pima presence. And realistically, we would love to work with those students transition to Pima Community College to finish off that degree. And eventually in Pima Community College, we'll be offering bachelor's degrees, hopefully in the near future, but the conversation is there. But not only just that, but we have partners that we work with, Northern Arizona, ASU, U of A. We have transfer partners that we can also work with these students. It doesn't always have to be at that university. It can be through us. And so that's really what we want to market and try to help the families and students understand that Pima is bigger than just dual enrollment. We got more. We got a lot of things going on, and we want to make sure that we are partners with you to make sure we build that or improve what we need to improve on in the future.
Okay, I'll be even more specific. For like computer science classes, I was looking at pathways. I can't get into AGEC, by the way. I sent a request, so maybe I'll get that from you guys to look at it. Because I was looking at it, it says to ask for permission, so nevertheless, that's all right. But see, that's what we learn, right? How can we, okay, I'm gonna be very specific with it. Our computer science classes, and I think there's some wonderful courses in there. You guys got some great classes in there. And how to hack properly, whatever it is. I'm using that as a different term that I know you have a different proper term for it. But how can we get those? Is it begin because we don't have the teachers that are capable of, maybe not capable, but the instructors aren't certified? Is that what we need, more certification?
Most likely, yes. So, but if that's a goal of the district, if that's a direction that the district wants to go towards, it starts with the conversation with that division and saying, okay, this is what we have here. What can Pima Community College in that particular division help us develop and do some curriculum crosswalks with the curriculum you currently have in your CT programs, but making sure that it meets the needs of the college course. It starts with the conversation, and I think that's probably where we need to start.
That's where you come in, to be more ingrained into our high school, correct?
And be honest with you, one of the things, heard of Arizona Teachers Academy, correct? So, but you know how that's running out of funds right currently. That's one of the things that I always see school districts do is they invest in the teachers. I don't know if that happens here. It might, but investing in teachers to have the credentials in order to teach these courses is something that we experience is a gap for us. There is no way of funding or scholarships for teachers to have in order to get those dual enrollment credits to be qualified. So that would be a recommendation, but
I guess it's always coming back to the money talks.
Good question. So one of the things that we've been doing through HR, we just look at our entire staff. We have elementary teachers, for instance, that may be able to be dual certified and are not teaching their content area. So maybe they do teach a night class or something that we're working on in the future. You know, Pima and Jay have been a great partner for us in the last few years to really grow our program. And I made it no secret that I want our students to graduate with associate's degrees. That's a goal of ours to have that, because we have like community members tonight by now. Graduation rate, it's down to 90, but there's we always have over 90% graduation rate, but then only 30% move on to higher education or get certification. So there's a big gap for us. So it's something we've been working on for the last few years. And again, Kim has been a great partner for us. And what we're doing is expanding that to try to get as many more teachers, as many as we can, including maybe our business office, you know, Ms. Brown teaching some business classes, accounting, doing those types of things. So we're exploring everybody who can teach, because we know that our community has people, but they may not be doing that at this point. So we're pursuing that. And then in addition, I just want to mention, one of the things that we're also doing expanding, which people may not know, is that we're pushing high school classes down into middle school, so that when the students get to high school, that they have that option to now start taking those dual enrollment classes sooner, so that they can then move on to that associate's degree. So we're moving Spanish down into our school, Algebra 1, geometry, those type of classes into our middle school, so that when they go to high school, that they have a lot more opportunity to do that. So it's a great question, Mr. Kramer, that we're working on. But there's also the other thing that we call saturation. We only have so many students and so many teachers that can, based on interest. So we can't have a cybersecurity class with only 3 students. You know, that's the difficulty we run into. And so we'll still explore options of partnership and looking at, even in the future. I know it's also no secret, building a building. You know, we want to collaborate and have a CTE building here that would be part of the higher ed, community college, all of us working in the same space to pursue that opportunity, training center for, future internships, things like that.
Drawing segues.
Yeah, thank you.
That's it's important for that, because again, if it means more money to bring more teachers outside of the realm of it to the community who have master's degrees, I guess, that could do that, certainly would be beneficial. And it's called ethical hacking. I was pretty close. But nevertheless, cyber defense and ethical hacking, I'm all these classes. I mean, and I understand what he's saying, because I had to sunset a few programs back in the day because of the enrollment. I remember the minimum was 12. So I don't know what the minimum class is for our classes in that. I would assume it's about the same. So I understand that too, the premise of it, but it's more just of what we can do to get more classes offered. And
Yeah, whenever you guys want, we can always also bring along a program advisor, an example for the cybersecurity. They will let the kids know, hey, like when you hear hacker, it's not always a bad thing. It's sometimes a good hacker. There's also good hacking when it comes to like protecting websites from business, from schools, from all these institutions. And there's also a good side for the hacking. It's not always the bad things that we hear, right?
this one's more fun.
Good hacking.
Good hacking.
Yes. You get to deal with both, you learn about both, but I mean, this is just a good example. But honestly, I guess also to answer your question, we also need to look what we currently have. I'm pretty sure a lot of teachers don't know. They're teaching something, but they don't know that what they have could also be we could also use it for something. I've heard I've known teachers that, hey, like I didn't know I could teach SCE 100. Usually the high school counselors with their masters in educational leadership or counseling, they can teach an SCE 100 class and they don't even know. So I feel we can always also look into what we currently have, the people that we have, the instructors that we have, check what their qualify for, and maybe we can start from there as well.
Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Ramirez.
Yes, first I'd like to thank Mr. Palacios and Ms. Monreal for all that you do, because wow, I mean, you're really touching a lot of people here. And especially in our community, and the money that the savings of all the kids, I mean, 500,000 here, 500,000 there, and these various universities, 400,000 at NAU. That's a lot of money. So hats off to you guys for all that you're doing. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, because man, that's a lot of work, and it's pretty cool because you can see in your faces that you're all fired up about it.
Yeah. Thank you.
A little bit of. And good job, Mr. Novato. Thanks for the tip on November 18th too, to let us know about that. It's great that you're having that influence on the middle school. So what else? There must be an element now. I was thinking, you were teaching an elective, there must be an element of competition, because going back to what you were saying, with these 140 classes, you have to take them concurrently. So my gosh, like you only have so much time in your day as a student, so must be quite the element of competition with the electives. And that was making me think about enrollment. And speaking of that, I was just wondering, what incentives do we have for the teachers? Because from what I remember, there was $1,000 for the teachers so that wanted to get involved. That came from Pima.
So that was from the state, the Arizona State Department of Education. They had a stipend for dual enrollment instructors. For first-time dual enrollment instructors to apply for $1,000 stipend. They swiped that, so I don't know if it's coming back for next year or not.
So
That's not on the table now.
Thank you. That brings me back to what incentives are we giving the teachers? Because this all sounds wonderful, but I only worry, you know, I'm so pro teacher. I worry about what are we doing for them?
So when they teach their regular classes, it would be the same, so schedule, so they're not adding additional classes, so they teach the same class load, so it's not, so it's just like a teacher teaching AP, they would just be teaching dual enrollment. The positive is.
But what I'm saying is, what incentives do we give them?
For their family, or the reduced tuition for their family at the Pima Community College as well, so there is.
Oh, that's nice. That's good. So that's big.
So I don't know
Right
right there what that looks like.
Yeah, well, I would like to get more into it because we got limited time here. So
College savings for the families, obviously the tuition, the slide that I showed earlier is what we're, as Pima Community College doesn't receive any funds for dual enrollment whatsoever. So it's kind of an event, the commitment is that, okay, we provide zero tuition, you provide the instructor with your 6/5, I don't even know what it is anymore. I've been out.
to be clear for whoever doesn't understand this, just in case anybody out there doesn't
In
understand,
one period.
they have to have their master's degree.
So for a dual enrollment instructor, academic transfer courses, yes, they would have to have a master's. Now, the applied science CTE programs are a little bit different. So it's either credentials, associates, or bachelor's degree. They're all different. There's just so many of them. We would have to look at which one fits your teacher. We bring in the college to have those discussions, and then we build it based on that. And of course, facilities. Facilities is a big one that our accreditation wants to make sure that and equipment have that up to par in all of our schools with the dual enrollment courses that we're offering.
So that's off to do. I mean, you really pushed hard for this, you and Melissa and the rest of your team, I'm sure. And so great job, because we're getting a lot of kids are getting college credit, but I was just thinking for those people that don't have their master's degree, we still have that CLEP option. And our school gets points for a letter grade for all the principals out there too. So you encourage people to take the CLEP test. You'd be surprised at what these kids can do. I would say even at middle school, maybe they could take the CLEP test in Spanish. And it's amazing. I mean, they get college credit like 8 to 12 units, some if they're really aggressive, 16 even. And so I would encourage us, your team, to push hard for the people who are not involved in that, so that we can get even more college credit for our kids. Because I've seen that done, like where I am, we did that. So I had kids that passed It's not to toot my horn, just to tell everybody it can be done.
Thank you.
And I think that's sake of time. I'll just end it right there. Thank you, Mr.
All
President.
right, thank you. Thanks, Jimmy, for being proactive, getting it down to the junior high and informing those, students down there. That'll help the enrollment in the high school. Yeah, it's an amazing program. If you could leave high school with a certificate or an associate's. I know we offer a lot of culinary arts, law enforcement. A lot of kids already know this is the career path that they're gonna take. And they bypass the university and saves them hundreds of thousands of dollars, that would go into a four-year degree. I really like that, with Pima and the other junior colleges, that the coursework does transfer into all in-state universities. That's very important and saves a ton of money there. So, thank you, Mr. Palacio and your team for coming down and, sharing your, information with us. And let's keep on, moving forward.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Capozzi.
Thank you.
No. Okay, here we go. Subject C, conflict of interest.
Thank you.
Real quick, Dave. I know we're running late. Principals, if you wanna go home and enjoy your family, you got a long day tomorrow, feel free. Hank, you gotta stay,
Yeah,
you know?
you're not allowed to leave.
Unless you're waiting for some big announcement or something, yeah, go ahead and take off. Yep. Okay, now's your time to exit. Okay, subject C.
Missed out on Miss.
Ms. Brown's presentation.
They pertain to them.
The conflict of interest is something that, changed to a data requirement for us to have this opinion, for.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board. Our principals can step out if they choose to and take your offer, because they were in the training. And it's required for all district employees. So HR makes, this training available to us at the beginning of the year. We all love it. We all go through it. But this year, they're asking us to bring it to board members. So, let me get as short and sweet as I can. It's not a very fun topic. It is an important topic, but I know that I'm just going to echo information that you probably get when you attend your board professional development opportunities and conferences and meetings that you already attend. Nonetheless, real quick, next slide, please. So this slide just highlights some of the potential conflict of interest that we can encounter in the course of our operation. And it could be in the form of business relations, the way our governing board votes on certain items, employment of close relatives, relationships with vendors, even from employees. Those are just some of the examples of where we can find a conflict. Next slide. And then we come to the statute that regulates those conflict of interest, which is ARS 38-503, which tells us that regardless of the value and the amount that we are spending on a purchase, if we identified a conflict of interest, we must only procure for that item. What do I mean by that? In the state of Arizona, we have procurement thresholds, which means that from $1 to $9,999, we do not need to obtain quotes. The moment I am going to procure $10,000 to $99,999, I must obtain a minimum of 3 written quotes, okay? And I must go with the lowest bidder, unless the lowest bidder is not really giving us what we want, then we can document that and go to the next one. Or if we procure from a contract that's already established by a purchasing cooperative, then we don't have to obtain quotes. We can procure from them. But if we have an item that exceeds 100,000, then at that point, we're in what we call the formal procurement threshold. When I initiate the process by advertising in the local newspaper the opportunity of, and we communicate to the community what services we are looking for or goods. We also use our website to promote. And then we put a due date And when proposals come in, those proposals get evaluated, and then we bring the recommendation to award the purchase to you, governing board, on your agenda. If we identified a conflict of interest, all of that is moved to the side. So even if I am going to procure something that is $10 and it's a conflict of interest, I need to push it all the way to the formal bidding process, where we would have to advertise and do everything that I just described. That's the difference when it comes to the conflict of interest. It doesn't matter the amount. It doesn't matter the funding source. It applies to local, state, federal, student activities, everything. Anything that we disperse, if there's a conflict of interest, then we have to follow the process. Next slide, please. It does go ahead and identifies, this is where it applies to governing board members. It says any public officer or employee of a public agency who has or whose relative has a substantial or remote interest in any contract, sale, purchase, or service to such public agency shall make known that interest in the official record of such public agency and shall refrain from voting upon or otherwise participating in any manner as an officer or employee in such contract, sale, or purchase. Next slide. And then we have the definition of a relative. And the relative under the statute is defined as spouse, child, child's child, parent, grandparent, brother or sister of a full or half blood, and their spouse and the parent, brother, sister, or child of. So, and this is what we stress with our staff. It's like, so what do I need to do if I have a conflict of interest, right? The first is we provide this training so that they can know how to identify a conflict of interest. We live in a small community, right? And sometimes they're like, well, I know, or my aunt knows, or owns the flower shop. Is that a conflict of interest if we're buying from the flower shop? And then we need to have those discussions, right? We make sure that the individual is not recommending the flower shop, right? We make sure that they're not involved in the selection of the vendor. So that's the process. The first step is identifying the conflict of interest. And we have a form for the staff members to submit and disclose their conflict, which takes us to step number 2. And then the third step is once we identified the conflict, they disclose the conflict, then we ask them to step to the side. And we make sure that that individual is not part of the transactions, not part of the vendor selection, and then you. Okay, and then we have to start the formal bidding process, if that's how we're going to proceed. Okay. So what does it mean to the vendor? It doesn't mean that the district will not conduct any business with them. I mean, sometimes they get afraid and that's their first reaction. Does that mean that you can't do business with us? No, it just means that we need to follow a more formal process, right? So we need to document that the employee was not part of the purchase. Next slide. The penalties are significant in this area. So we want to make sure that we educate our staff and that we protect our staff so that they don't fall for any of this, because they can go all the way to a class 6 felony, class 1 misdemeanor, and then they'll have to forfeit their public office or employment, if any. The state of Arizona takes it very serious, and we want to prevent any of this. Next slide. And that is the conflict of interest in our district.
Questions, Ms. Fogelman?
Clear? Thank you. Same thing, clear, very, like always, great presentation, very informative, but understood. Thank you.
Ms. Kramer?
Yeah, staff is fortunate if you gave them that one. The one the governor puts out is like 26 to 30 slides. A lot more. You condensed it. Good job. I guess the question I have though, we've talked about this before, certainly back in the days. when we go out for procurement and such, and when we go in sifting through the bids, none of us as board members sit on there, because then if we did sit in there, we recuse ourselves from voting. However, I remember one time we did have a board member said, that's fine, I wanna sit in there, but I know I won't vote. We stopped kind of getting away from that. But I think that, and I remember who sat in there, and I'm just gonna say it happened. I'm sure you know who, whatever, it does happen. I think that if we do that, just so we know we follow that, and the board members can volunteer to be in there, but if you're in there, you gotta pull yourself out when it comes to. Like if we were choosing a new company for whatever.
For instance, this year, we'll be doing, for the rest of the year, our regiment. So if it says I want to fit in on the interview, you could, but then that would recuse yourself from voting.
Right, and the only reason why I bring that up, because we go to the ASBA conferences, of course, you network and you talk to other people. Some boards do that because then they have a board member who is part of that group, knowing that they're not gonna vote, but they want that person in there just to give then feedback at the board's perspective. I just want to bring that, it was perfect time to bring that up, because I want to say that we as board can actually do that with that. So.
Absolutely, that's a great point. Yes, a board member may participate in a committee to evaluate proposals as long as they, and when we have put committees together to evaluate proposals, we ask them to sign a different conflict of interest, that they do not have any business or relationship with any of the vendors that have submitted their bid.
And also just to clarify, just the difference, because it would still be a superintendent committee. So those are, because once it becomes a board committee, then we would have to follow open meeting law and be all meetings open to the public and post notice. So even if a board member participates, it would still be a superintendent committee.
Right, so then we wouldn't have to do it, because thank you for bringing that up, because we did as a board one time, had a committee where you're right, we had to keep minutes, follow all the procurement, take roll, everything to that effect. You're right, yes. But since it is your committee. Yeah, thank you for bringing, yes, that's a good point. Anyway, I thought it was a good time, it was a nexus, but I think that as a board, we sometimes forget the things that we could probably be involved in. But thank you very much, it was a very good condensed version.
Hi, Mr. Ramirez.
Thank you, sir. So yeah, I remember the good old days of trying to we had to send airline tickets. You're making me cross all my T's and dot all my I's to buy tickets because they were more than 10 grand. Sometimes way up there, over to even 30 grand. So I remember those days very, very well. So you did a good job back then. You still do a good job. Hey, so with a presentation like Mr. Kramer said. And I also recall that I couldn't put a purchase order in for a Winnebago for the chess team because. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. That's it. WD Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Beach. A few items tonight. First, I wanted to note the stadium with nearly 3,000 paid almost 11,000 which is great. And being able to utilize our full stadium for the first time, and I don't know if they follow all sports Tucson. They noted our stadium is one of the, if not the biggest now in Southern Arizona, because of the home side and our new addition site. So it was nice to be able to see the full stadium, including standing room with bands and so forth, and that is just paid. That didn't include like the bands and other individuals that were there. Sure that also volleyball been playing very well. Actually, they finished and cross country team was in California competing, and we had a privilege finish. was great. The Hawks team, the Penny State champ, had a great performance. I saw the video of the gym performance. It was great to see on the football field, but the performance inside their assembly was incredible. So congratulate them. Also, other feats, we have November. They just had their cut scores in their online notes. It looked like it'll be the same cut scores. And so I'll be sharing that data in. And then tonight, I know that we had some questions about the override. And so as part of the report, I will see that. We have the voter information pamphlet that's gone out to our community. And it is a continuation, so I know that there's always a question of how much they going to cost. And I think numerous community groups, so if you want me to put it to a community group that you would ask me to, I'm happy to do it. We did it at the Tubac Citizens Council. We have the votaries coming up, and we are very open to presenting to anybody about the upcoming override and what the uses are. And it is just so the community knows that I cannot promote and say vote for it because that's illegal to influence an election, but I can tell you why the district needs it or why the committee is pursuing that. It is a 100% continuation, so it is not a new override. And there are various laws that when you have an override, you go for 7 years, and we are actually going early to pursue that because of the general election. So it has to pay for the overrides, and so the vote. And so it is less expensive for us. So if we go in an off year, it costs us excess of 30 to 40,000. Where this year I believe it's 12,000 to be part of the election. So it saves us. And as a district, we are very responsible to try to save every penny that we can. And then in addition, as we go on and present about the override, we talk about what the uses are and why the district and the committee chose, as well as, again, reminding the community it's a continuation. Our tax rate is the lowest of all school districts in Santa Cruz County, for the exception of one, and they don't have an override or a bond. So with an override and bond, we're lower than other districts in our community. And we also, the districts can go for 15% override, and we actually are going, we understand our community, a 9% override, and we pay that down with cash. So our override is the lowest taxed override in the state of Arizona. So that's something that we always share with our community, and we can show you that data as well. And so it's something that's, again, is a continuation, but I just wanted to share that. I'm happy to present in detail to any community organization group members, even me individually, to go through and answer any questions that you may have about that. Ms. Brown and I are, the last time we did over 30 presentations to community members answering questions, and we're happy to do that. Like I said, we've already come and we're scheduling with other organizations and groups within our community. So I'm happy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Verdugo. Okay, moving on, subject E, governing board members report. Ms. Hogan.
Thank you. Allowed the principal's reports. There's some that I look forward to more than others. Mimi, yours just always cheers me up. I think it's the kids. But it is so nice to be back into getting the principal's reports and having a better feel for what all is going on and how you work with your professional developments. It's great. Homecoming was terrific. I was startled to see so many friends and neighbors there. If you build it, they will come. So, it was great. So thank you.
Ms. Vasquez.
Same thing. I also thank the principals, every one of you, for all the work that you guys do, because like you, I love to get the principal's report because you get to see the pictures, you get to see the kids. And of course, we're all about the kids, you know, and we're all about what they're doing and what they're, you know, what the schools are offering and all that stuff, you know. Congratulations to all of you for the awards that you got today. Congratulations to all of the sports. I had some kids come up to me and tell me, also I wanted to tell, whoever put up on Facebook or on the, you know, on the internet, all of the videos and all that stuff from the game, from the homecoming game. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Job well done. Because I had a bunch of kids. Remember, I'm local. I live just a mile away, and all of the kids that are around me, okay, they already know me, okay, and so they asked me, why haven't they put up anything, you know, with you know, about the homecoming? We beat Nogales, you know, this and that. And I'm like, I don't know. Anyway, I got credit for it anyway, but I wasn't the one that did it, okay? But so the kids kept calling me and the parents and telling me, you know, that they put up a lot of pictures and a lot of videos and all that stuff. And again, our dance team, amazing. Oh my God, they look like professionals. They're just so good. The girls, I got also somebody has a one on like TikTok or something like that. And they were talking to each one of them and asking them, you know, like what they were doing and who the character they were playing and all that. And I thought that was so personal, you know, so neat, you know, that they were doing all of that. So thank you very much for all of that. Also, Ms. Renteria, I just wanted to update you on, you know, thank you very much for I don't know if you're the one that has been telling the parents, you know, about the driving up there, but I went and I was laughing this morning, okay, because this afternoon I went up to pick up my friend and it was, about 12:45, okay? And there was a line already all the way up. I bet you there was about 30 cars already there, okay? So, but now they're parking, you know, on the side, but I'm thinking, school isn't out until 2 o'clock, but as a parent, I get it, you know, I get it that if my baby is there, I'm gonna be there and I don't care if it's 2 hours before. So, but anyway, but thank you. It was a lot easier to get up the road and all that stuff. So whatever it is that you guys are doing, thank you. Thank you very much for everything.
Thank you, Ms. Vasquez. Mr. Kramer?
Yes, good job, principals, on your reports. They're always nice to look through them. For some reason, they take time to load, but it's because of all the pictures.
Yes, but
That's what we said many years ago, put more pictures, and you have obligated that. Thank you for doing that. It certainly is well done. Yes, and certainly it's nice there are times where I've texted David before because we're watching a basketball game like last year. So those that can't get to the games, the streaming is great, especially when you can throw it on your big screen, whatever, at home and watch Hawks. So it's always good. And for those that don't do it, it's you can't make the game, it's great. Sometimes like I can't. Nevertheless, I will say this it's not an agenda item, but I will say this, that in the past, we've talked about this, but I certainly, as board members, after we leave here, we're individual citizens. We can say anything we want. We can go what we want, how we can promote who we want, and we can promote anything and out there on anything on as far as the ballot. With that said, however, we did have discussed in the past, and I know this, that we talked about assessed values in homes, and I brought this up a year ago, back in January. The assessed value of the home has nothing to do with us. That's the county. And by the way, in Rio Rico, in some places in Tubac, you're going up $3,000. That's not us. It's assessed values. So none of the boards can comment on this because this is my own thing and it's not a topic of discussion. But I'm saying that because I brought it up. Homes in Rio Rico in my HO area going up 1,000. Again, it's not us. So taxes are going up, but that's the assessed values being raised by the county. Just an FYI. And with that said, and the other point is that this district has lost 5.2 million just in Vatari lots from the years past. And that's something that this district also has to go after. So I'm just saying that because they can't discuss it, but I can say it in my board member report. Thank you, Mr. Beach.
Thank you, Mr. Kramer. Mr.
Oh, one other thing. Sorry. And congratulations to us and the team and everybody else. Cell phones restrictions are coming to California. California now is putting it as a state law. So, I mean, we were ahead of the curve, but the fact is that California is doing that. What does that tell you about cell phones across the country? So if California is doing it, we were on the right path. Good job. And Also, there's an article, but I know that you guys, I use principals, you know, I send you stuff. And there's a nice article about competency-based learning and how teachers are, it's harder for them at times, but just methods and materials of how to get them continually on board. And you know that I send you that stuff, David. I try to include you on Mr. Verdugo, excuse me, and Dr. Lundeville. But certainly, competency-based learning, they are talking about it across the country now as well. So it's not just something that, again, we're ahead of the curve. So good job to all of us.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kramer. Ramirez?
Thank you, Mr. Kramer, the cell phone thing just made me think of it. I mean, that's a whole, we acted as a whole board. And we got that done. A lot of you said it that night, said we got a lot done with regard to the cell phone, even though we really had long discussions to get to that point, but good job to all the board. I mean, those are so important for the kids and so we stop all of this distracted learning. But I thank my colleagues for all that, because of course we can't get anything done here unless we work together. Despite, as we say, the differences we sometimes have. It's amazing how we come together when it comes for the good of the kids. So, but, thank you, Mr. Verdugo, for mentioning the override, because we can't discuss that kind of stuff during the call of the public. I get frustrated at times because I want to say something about it, but you covered it pretty well. I do want to say that one of the objectives on there for the override is to promote kindergarten to continue to maintain our kindergarten classes, and I don't think anybody in our community is against that. So that's one of those big things I think that sticks out there that I hope will stay in the forefront and that message that we have on our pamphlet for the voters. But thank you, Mr. Verdugo, for mentioning that. And the football game, wow, that was so much fun. And I love that we promoted sportsmanship, and the band, the Apaches went out there and they performed. And it was like Mr. Beach said, a real friendly rivalry, but there was a lot of good sportsmanship out there in the game, even when it was heated. Even in our own little place there, you know, where we invited a guest from Nogales. The superintendent was really wanting it. You know, and I love that, by the way, it's your spirit, you know, for our district. And but it was really cool. We cracked some jokes there and had a good time. And thank you for your kind indulgences for dealing with me and playing the Monday Night Football theme at halftime and giving you my Howard Cosell impressions. So, yeah, I felt like a little kid up there. That stadium is really magnificent. And God, man, that press box is something else. It's great. And thank you, Mr. Verdugo, for having some munchies there for us at halftime. It was great. And it was just fun hanging out with our colleagues. So everybody there, you guys are a lot of fun. So thank you so much. And the game, of course, it was great. And Hawks played tough and it was exciting. It was an exciting game too. That was fun because, I mean, when there's a blowout, it's not as much fun as when you're just right there sitting on the edge of your seat wanting your team to win. And Mr. Beach, I want to congratulate you for being such a big influence on Ariana Escusa, because as you know, I won't steal all your thunder because that's your kid who you coached, but wow, you did really great things in getting her. Your passion for wrestling came across loud and clear, especially in that interview. She's talking about finding a way to win, and she finally found a mental way to win that tournament. But I won't discuss all the details because you know more about it than I do. But so on that note.
Off to me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, the football game was amazing. Whoever provided the snacks, you didn't have to, but they were, the band, just the whole atmosphere, was electric, and, we did raise a lot of money, 11,000, wow. Yep. And, I'd say the best, stadium in the state of Arizona, definitely. Yeah, Ariana Escusa, she took third at the Olympic trials, and I think I was at this spot, about 2 or 3 months ago. Stating she's got one more shot at making the world team. She did take first place at the world team trials. She will be representing America and Albania. Albania, it's a country in Eastern Europe by Greece, Hungary, Didn't pay attention in geography, but, she will be, representing the United States and she was clicking on all heels. If you look at the interview, she was so excited. The adrenaline was still flowing through her veins and she was saying everything was on. Her legs felt great. Her diet was perfect. And she could just see it in her face. Oh, man. Probably 10 years of outside of high school wrestling, 9 years in high school wrestling, all this for this one big moment to represent the United States at the world team tournament. So, wow, this will probably, I'm hoping, cross my fingers, this will be her last go around. It does take its toll on your body. She has cervical surgery, knees, and so she doesn't know it now, but once she hits 50, she's gonna feel all those. Yeah, kudos to Adriana. We're gonna definitely be rooting for her. I think the tournament starts late October, around the 26th, 27th, somewhere around there. So kudos, future Hall of Famer right there. I did go visit all the schools. Amazing. I think I got to almost every single classroom. It took me a while. I think John's, Mr. Chavez's, I had my little granddaughter with me. She got antsy after about 15, 20 classrooms, so I had to take her back. But it's just funny. The elementary schools, the teachers are all excited. The classrooms are very, colorful. The kids want to hug you and touch your hair and all this. And then I go to Doggo and, John's school is junior high. The hormones kick in. The teachers are like, October's break's almost here, so different transition, but it's amazing, good things going on at all schools. Talked to some of our foreign teachers. They're getting the help from the more experienced teachers, mentoring our principals, etc. They feel very supported, so thank you there. And last but not least, I haven't hit the high school. That'll be next week. I did see 1 or 2 classrooms that the AC broke down. I would recommend getting fans in there, something to just move the air around. And this is just food for thought. I had a real good principal called, her name was Mrs. Rodriguez. And 30 years, I never had a principal every week visit my classroom. And that was one of the main things. She goes, I'm gonna be coming and visiting all your classrooms at least once a week. And not to keep me on my toes, but just to see what's going on. And it built that rapport and also allowed the students to know the principals. Okay, so I know a lot of you principals already do that. This is just food for thought if you're not doing it. And the last thing she told our staff, and I never been told this by any principal, she goes, I do not want to see you behind your desk. I want you walking around the room almost 24/7. And, we have to sit down every now and then to take roll, but a lot of teachers at the school were just sitting behind their desks and hand out, students would be on YouTube. But once she implemented that and we're up and walking around, it built a rapport between the teacher and the student. It reduced discipline, it reduced off task on the computers. So those 2 recommendations is try to get into those classrooms at least once a week and, maybe mention it, if you guys can be behind, get away from your desk and move around the class. But overall, awesome. I did see some improvements as far as maintenance, and we're gonna address that our next board meeting. Okay, and hopefully a lot of those issues that are brought up to Mr. Verdugo are getting fixed, but we will be talking about that our next meeting. And that's all I got. Number 6, consent agenda, approval of consent agenda. Any matter on the consent agenda will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed as a regular agenda item upon the request of any board member. Any board member needs anything taken off?
Item number 4.
Item number 4. Okay, item number 4. Any others? Okay.
I did have one, but
Oh, you did?
for the sake of time.
Okay. Motion to approve consent agenda as presented with the removal of number 4.
So moved.
Second.
Then a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Ayes have it. Motion carries. And we are now at number 4, Mr. Christopher.
I was gonna give a shout out to Ray Rico High School, but not here, so. Shout out is kind of a moot point, but I will say this, that I'm glad they had the foresight to put it in all the state tournaments instead of sometimes running it to us right at the last minute. For all of us that have been here for years, knowing that we were going like, what? And we threw that back and so I'm glad that they had that. Whoever did that, good job. So. All right, Dr. Lunderville, thank you very much then. I will give a shout out. That's the first time in a long time we've seen that. So, good job on that.
Thank you, Mr. Kramer.
Thank you.
Motion to approve number 4 on the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Both say nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. And this meeting is now adjourned at 8:57.
7:53.
7:50. Wait, hang on.
7:53. That's what it says here.
Meeting is at 7:53.
Yep.
Now adjourned.